she's so fine. Hell of a ride, blows my mind. Hell of a ride, lights my day.
What's good, guys? This story is coming out of my home state, Kentucky, and it's coming out of Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville protesters say Louisville Metro Police Department has history of violence against their movement for justice. And I'm going to play a video that goes with this shortly. Punched in the face repeatedly while being handcuffed, grabbed by the head and thrown to the ground while walking on a sidewalk, sprayed in the face with pepper spray from behind a chained door, hit with pepper bullets while marching in the streets to demand justice. Louisville protesters described each of those encounters and several others with Louisville Metro Police as they stood side by side in Jefferson Square Park Thursday evening. Just a few days earlier, 29-year-old Denorver Garrett was punched in the face multiple times by an LMPD officer while being held down by others during an arrest. A video of the encounter drove Garrett's fellow protesters, who began marching last year over the death of Breonna Taylor, to amplify their demands the department be held responsible. Louisville activist Maddie Jones claimed Garrett was one step away from ending up like George Floyd, the 46-year-old black man murdered by police during an arrest in Minneapolis last year.
5 times in my eye. I haven't heard no news reporter say his name once.
None.
Why is he getting treated like the victim?
So we know that racism is something that will never die. And to think I have to stand here this afternoon and talk about a little brother that was just one step away from being a Floyd situation. I thank God for that they didn't take away his life. But what they did, they tried to take away his freedom. They tried to take away his dignity. They tried to take away his pride. Now is the time that you talk about reform for the police department. Young people, be sick and tired of waiting. The time to act now to reform Louisville's Metro Police Department is right now.
We, the people, have allowed the police to assume an air of arrogance and superiority and supremacy, and everybody seems to be okay with this. I'm not. And Sunday, I stood in this square with cameras everywhere. There's cameras all around us. There were people holding cameras, and his lawyers standing 8 feet away, and they knew who I was. And they did it anyway. They beat this man on the ground, restrained anyway. And they tried to claim he was resisting arrest. I was there. This young man was not resisting arrest.
I'm sick and tired of seeing young black men and young black women mauled down in the streets at the hands of someone that took off their sheet and put on a uniform and still got that racist bigotry all in their heart and all in their mind.
And you know what else sickens me is, you don't know how many times I've heard since then, well, Dee's done this and Dee's done that in his life. You know what? I don't give a damn what Dee had done before Sunday. It does not matter. If a woman wears a short skirt, is it okay to rape her? No.
The police came out here on not even an arrestable offense and allow, even with the chiefs, to allow officers to slam me to the ground. And even when I said, why are y'all allowing him to punch me, the officer said, I'll punch you again, and he punched me. And y'all still treating him like the victim?
So I say to the young people today, don't let nothing turn you around. Don't stop marching. Don't stop demanding. Now, you don't have to break out windows. But I tell you, as I stand here as an 88-year-old teenager, that I believe in civil disobedience. Yeah. Nothing wrong with sitting in that building until you meet your demands. Nothing wrong with going to jail when you know you're right. Because freedom is a cost. Freedom is never free.
And I full well watched a police officer beat this kid in the face. And we're lucky we're not at a funeral for this kid this week. Just by the grace of God that this young man is alive.
And we say this to Mr. Mayor. We say this to the city council people. We've got the greatest weapon in the world. We've got the weapon that will take them all out. And that's an almighty vote Young people, by the time you're 17, make up in your mind that you vote. Don't go to school and act a fool. Educate your mind and your heart so you can take over those buildings that sit over there. You can become the mayor. You can appoint the police chief.
Quote, "They try to take away his freedom," Jones said as she stood next to Garrett Thursday. "They try to take away his dignity. They try to take away his pride. Now is the time to talk about reform for the police department," end quote. Local attorney David Moore, who represents Garrett, said he was there during the arrest. Quote, "Of all the things I've seen in the protests since I've been involved in the last year, this really kind of has to be the most disturbing," Moore said. "We, the people, have allowed the police to assume an air of arrogance and superiority and supremacy, and everybody seems to be okay with this," end quote. Garrett demanded to know why the officer who punched him Sunday, leaving cuts on his face below a left eye swollen shut, has not been reported publicly. Quote, "The officer said, 'I'll punch you again,' and y'all are still treating him like the victim," end quote, Garrett said. LMPD has not released the name of the officer who punched Garrett during the arrest, despite multiple requests from the Courier-Journal. Department Chief Erica Shields has announced an internal investigation into the officer responsible, as well as the supervisor who was there. Quote, "Everything was peaceful until they came out," said Garrett, who was protesting near the park when police arrested him and charged him with misdemeanor disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. Garrett and other protesters who spoke Thursday called on others to join them at Jefferson Square Park Friday evening for a unity march. Quote, "We're going to show y'all how we march," Garrett said, "how we come together," end quote. That is a picture of longtime activist, 88-year-old Matty Jones on the left, and D. Garrett in the middle. He is the young man that they put their hands on. And then Tamika Palmer is over on the right. And this is the story about the initial incident, also from the Courier-Journal. A Louisville police officer repeatedly punched a protester in the face while placing him under arrest Sunday, prompting an uproar among fellow protesters who've been demonstrating against police brutality since last May. In a video posted to Facebook, several LMPD officers are seen arresting 29-year-old Denorver D. Garrett near Jefferson Square Park around 4:30 p.m. on April the 18th. In the 90-second clip, an officer is seen attempting to handcuff Garrett before he and another officer force the protester to the ground. The initial officer then punches Garrett in the face 4 times, breaking his glasses. In a statement Sunday night, LMPD Chief Erica Shields, who just took over, mind you, said the video, quote, "raises serious questions and is not consistent with LMPD training," end quote. She has opened an internal investigation into the officer's conduct, as well as on-scene supervisor. The statement did not name the officer involved. Jamie Hendricks, who took the video, said Garrett had been protesting in a crosswalk before the arrest, carrying a signature cross that has made him recognizable at local demonstrations over the death of Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old unarmed black woman who was shot and killed by Louisville police in March of 2020. Hendricks said Garrett was speaking to her at her car just before he was arrested. According to the citation, Garrett, 29, quote, "was causing a disturbance," end quote, in the middle of the street for about 30 minutes before he was arrested. The citation states Garrett, quote, "resisted the officer's movements to put his hands together close enough to put handcuffs on. He was given loud verbal commands to stop resisting, which he did not follow," end quote. Police then took Garrett to the ground where an officer, quote, "delivered 2 to 3 closed hand strikes," end quote, to his face, the citation states. That is a picture of Garrett after the incident on April the 18th. I mean, his eyes damn near swollen shut. Garrett has been charged with misdemeanor disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. he was released on his own recognizance early Monday morning. He previously was charged in December with second-degree strangulation, first-degree criminal mischief, first-degree rioting, first-degree assault, and obstructing a highway in a confrontation with a motorist while protesting. Hendricks, who attends protests regularly, said she saw the officer punch Garrett at least 4 times last Sunday. She did not see Garrett resisting the officers. Quote, "It's unreal to me that just happened right in front of me," she told the Courier-Journal. "He was just making his voice heard, and he has a right to do that. It shouldn't take 10 cops to come over and take care of that," end quote. Sunday night, several protesters held a press conference at Jefferson Square Park, where they called on Shields to take action against the officers in the arrest. Quote, "It hurts me," Cody Garrett, the arrested man's brother, said at the press conference. "It just doesn't make sense for somebody to handcuff somebody and then punch them," end quote. I think the front of this article shows him with his cross that makes him there it is. He's recognizable around Louisville for carrying this cross. And I'm going to go ahead and show the video. I might have to censor out the punches. If I do, I will link the video in the description box, and you can go and watch it in full. But I'm going to go ahead and kick to that video now.
Bitch, I'm not in the motherfucking way. Shut up, boy.
Don't flex on me.
Watch her.
Charlie, don't flex on me. Stop. Stop.
Excuse me, because if I want to go back to the car, I'm going to do that.
Bring your hands together now.
Okay, but if I want to get back to the car, I'm going to do that. Hey, stop fucking hitting him, bitch! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting now!
Stop hitting him!
Put your hands behind your back!
Stop fucking hitting him!
Put your hands behind your back! Put your hands
Stop
behind your back!
fucking hitting him!
I'm gonna punch you again!
Stop it! I got it on camera. Stop! Stop fucking hitting him! If you hit him, I swear to God. Fucking face.
Oh, shit!
Ma, look, Ma, I'm not moving. So if they touch me, I don't give a fuck. I got it on camera. What the fuck you punching me in goddamn face for? You fucking broke his glasses, you pieces of shit. Standing on the sidewalk. Why did you have to pull up and do that?
The verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial has brought out a lot of folks from the woodwork that have been hiding there and cheering on from the shadows. And they don't bother me. You're not going to stop me from reporting what I normally do on my channel. You're not going to stop my voice. You're just wasting your time. But police brutality is a very real thing. Just watch any number of my videos from the past week and go backwards if you need to. It's a very real thing. It's happening every single day. And I'm going to end the story on that note. But please feel free to share this story because it's not getting out like it should. I'm in the state and I'm just hearing about it. And that's, 3 days old now. So please share. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night.